Then God said, let us make man or humankind in our image, according to our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the birds of the air and over the cattle and over all the wild animals of the earth and over every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth. So God created humankind in his image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it, have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth. So God created humankind in his, or as his, idol. So Salem is the Hebrew word, a word most often referring to images and idols of pagan gods. In light of this, when used in the Genesis narrative, the word refers to humankind as the idol of the creator. That uniquely represents him and has dominion in God's creation. Take note that this word does not refer to any given attribute or ability unique to us. Neither does it have anything to do with physical anthropomorphic human-like features. That would be problematic. Some people are born without limbs. So have they lost the image? Some people are born or at some point in their life lose their cognitive function. Does that mean that they are no longer the image? Right? So the image is not a thing that we have that is like, oh, it's our intellect or it's how we look or things like that. The image is the representation. It's a matter of status, role, calling, and rank, right? The nature of humanity is as God's image, no matter what kind of human they are. No matter, again, if they have impaired cognitive function, if they have impaired bodily function, you see what I'm saying? And of course, this all culminates in Jesus as the perfect human who is the image, right? So verses on humans, you made humans rulers of the work of your hands. You put everything under their feet, all flocks and herds, all animals of the wild, birds of the sky, the fish in the sea, all that swim in the paths of the seas, right? So the idea here is that humans are made to be the pinnacle of creation, right? They are the ultimate expression of God and his authority on the earth. Psalm 139, you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was being made in secret, intricately woven in the depths of the earth. That's a very interesting language there that we'll skip over. Romans chapter 8, for the creation waits with eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed. The creation itself will be liberated from its bondage to decay and brought into the freedom and glory of the children of God. Okay, so the idea is that the image of God is the thing that liberates the creation from Leviathan, and the revealing of the sons of God, when that happens, is when, per Isaiah, he will slay the dragon that is in the sea, right? Since death came through a man, the resurrection of the dead also comes through a man, right? So the idea is that humanity is the focal point, right? And of course, that man is Jesus, and we are members of his body. So we are participants in Jesus's work and who he is. We are participants in the image of God. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and mother and hold fast to his wife. The two shall become one flesh. This mystery is profound, and I am saying it refers to Christ and the church. Okay? So, image of God is male and female, in husband and wife, in Christ and in head and body, Christ and church. Number one thing, every human person represents God himself. So in our interactions with each other, in your interactions with other human beings, you are interacting with an idol of God. You are interacting with the representative image of your creator, and vice versa. When someone is interacting with you, they are interacting with an image of God, a representative figure that represents who God is, right?
So would that be our intellect, reason, and creativity?
You could say that those are aspects that we benefit, we have the benefit of having those by being images. But again, it's not the image itself, because some people don't have those. Some people, again, they have lack of certain cognition or intelligence, right? But they are still images. It's what God says about them. That's what makes them the image. Does that make sense? Humanity, the image of God, we are a microcosm of a macrocosm. Anyone heard that before? We are a small scale, miniature representation of the whole creation. God concludes his creation work by creating beings with all the potential of both angels and animals. So angels, they're spirits without bodies. Animals are bodies without necessarily higher spirits. We are animal, and spirit, who act as rulers of the creation on behalf of the ruler himself. Now, remember, we talked a little bit about the Trinity last time. Remember? So God says, let us make mankind in our image, our likeness, this plural language, right? Plural pronouns. And then it says, so God made mankind in his own image, singular pronoun, right? In the image of God, he created him, singular pronoun. Male and female, he created them, plural pronoun. Very interesting. So the image of God, by necessity, is multiple. There's a multiplicity to the image of God that is male and female. In the same way that there is a multiplicity to God himself, Son, Father, Spirit. Male and female, Father, Son, Spirit. There's a multiplicity within the identity of humanity and God. So just talking a little bit about male and female. So biological sex difference is an essential quality of human nature, according to the Bible, male and female. The image of God is dependent upon the plurality, right, of them, right? The fact that they are different is what helps that image be what it's supposed to be. The fact of the difference between male and female. It is male and female together that bear God's image as a complex unity, right? So the Trinity is a complex unity. Male and female representing humanity is a complex unity. The duality of male and female is fundamentally important to understanding God's ultimate plan for humanity, as the marriage is a symbol between heaven and earth, Christ and the church. They're said to para, be fruitful or bear fruit, right? Humanity is told by God to be fruitful and become many. God's design and desire for humanity is that they would be an immense plurality of expressions of God, that there would be a great amount of these images, a great diversity of these images, and that they would flourish in their experience of the good world that God created. They are to cultivate fruit out of the earth, carrying on God's good work by tending to the ground, and they are to bear new life through acts of loving relationship between male and female aspects of God's image. This is the one slide where we're talking about this in this entire study, so I'll just bring it up just briefly. So the biblical view of sexual activity is that it is the ultimate expression of the duality of humankind as manifest in the physical unity of maleness and femaleness. So again, the Trinity has a multiplicity to it, but they are united as one. So what happens when man and woman express the multiplicity and the unity? What happens? They reproduce. New life comes about. New life, okay? Sex is inherently fruit-bearing, according to the Bible. The primary reason for its existence is for humans to be able to bear new life, just as God himself bore creation. So again, image of God, not to make it awkward at all. Image of God, partly in us, is what allows us to cultivate new life. The duality coming into one, manifesting a new being. The male body is intrinsically designed for the female body and vice versa. Sexual activity is meant to be enjoyed within the love covenant promise, right? Hopefully you understand what I'm getting at here. Humans act out in real time the love process by which new life arises and blooms, okay? Just a small comment. That's why culture war stuff and people getting all like irritated at the Christians for their sexual ethic, they don't understand it's a page one thing. It's a design and what we're meant for type of question. You see what I'm saying? That's what makes it so important. It's not, oh, did Paul say this and did he really mean this? And it's, how do our bodies work? That's just the question. How do our bodies work? That's how God made us. What brings about the process of new life? The act of that process. The Bible does not use the word perfect of the creation. It says good and very good, but it doesn't say perfect, right? So it is an incomplete world, even though God rests. But the point of it being incomplete is so that God passes, in the image, he passes on the role and responsibility of creation. It's very important to acknowledge that while the creation order of Genesis 1 is concluded as being very good, the implication is not that the world has come to a state of perfection or total completeness just yet. You don't get that to the last page of the Bible. Something else still needs to take place in order for the world to arrive at God's end goal intention. So we're told to subdue or tread down. Humankind is called to subdue the earth. This is an invitation and permission by God to take control over the natural elements of the world and continue God's work of forging habitable order conducive to thriving and sustainable life for all God's creatures. He passes on that ordering torch, and he tells us to name the animals. To name the animals, what did God do? Did he name things? And like, it's more than just like, oh, this one's Jerry and this one's Bob, this one's Lion and this one's Fox. It's more than that. To name the animals is to give them their proper place, right? And to rank them and to order them as God has named everything in all creation. Forging habitable order conducive to thriving and sustainable life. The call to subdue the earth, humanity is given responsibility to tame the yet untamed wilds of the world. Okay? So how do we go into the world and create habitable order as God has created habitable order, right? So be fruitful. Our call as God's imagers, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth, subdue it. When you have a garden, you have subdued the earth. You have to cultivate the ground. You have to make it conducive to life being able to grow in it. Give it water. You have to till it, right? You have to break it up. You have to put compost there. So humanity, they are the image. They are the male and female rulers of creation. They're God's representatives for the rest of creation. They're caretakers of the earth and its creatures. They're made to glorify and worship the Creator. They're made to be loved by the Creator. They're called to bear children and subdue a raw and untamed world created as their domain. Okay, the role of humanity as presented in the Bible, as a baseline. Obviously, the nature of humanity changes as you introduce the concept of sin in Genesis chapter 3, which is, again, just essentially what happens, and this is the major conflict of the Bible, what happens when humans abandon that call and start doing different things, when they undo the order that is presented in Genesis 1.